Am I the a-hole for kicking my mother out of my wedding after she brought my ex as her plus one? I, male 30, started seeing June, female 29, about 3 years ago. My mother has never really liked June for a couple reasons. The main one being the fact that June didn't let my mom push her around. She kept firm boundaries, which I really admired, and she even helped me do the same. My mom hated this, calling June controlling and wishing I hadn't broken up with my previous girlfriend, Margot, who my mom loved. I was with Margot for 5 years, and it was horrible. Margot was very controlling and manipulative and always guilted me into things I wasn't comfortable with. But thanks to support from friends and my sister, I was able to leave her. It was hard, but I had help, and my life has improved since. My mom was very upset with this, but relationships didn't last, so she eventually let it go until I started dating June about a year later. When June and I announced our engagement, my mom didn't freak out, which was weird considering my mom hates June. She was very calm, but I just took it as she was finally accepting this, and so I didn't think much of it. Everything was fine and smooth up until the wedding. I gave both my parents plus ones to the wedding since they both remarried after I graduated college, so I'm not close to their spouses, but gave them the option of inviting them. We had a very small ceremony, just immediate family and a few close friends. After the ceremony, me and June went to take pictures and then met back with everyone we invited to the reception, which was pretty big. When we got there, my sister and June's best friend, maid of honor, ran up to us in a panic. Before they even said anything, I spotted it. My mom was at the table with my dad's wife, and Margot. I wanted to freak, but June kept me calm. I walked over, pulled them both aside, and simply told them to leave. My mom tried to explain that Margot and I are soulmates, and June is just in the way of true love, but I wasn't hearing it. I didn't care, just got my best friends to escort them out, and I returned to the party where, luckily, after a few moments, I was able to relax and enjoy it. I really didn't think this would all turn into something huge, but me and June just got back from our honeymoon where we didn't have our phones, and seeing mine, I saw hundreds of texts from multiple family members. They all think I was an a-hole for kicking my mom out of her only son's wedding. For the record, she was there for the ceremony, but apparently was really upset she was kicked from the reception. Here's a summary of my family's thoughts. Some think I could have just ignored Margot and didn't have to freak out. A few others, including my dad, think I should have just kicked Margot and let my mom stay. But after the stunt my mom pulled, I didn't want her there either. I'm starting to second guess myself since everyone is really mad. June and my sister are on my side, but I fear my dad may be right and I should have just let my mom stay and made Margot leave. So I've come to Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. My wife and I will not be starting our married life together tolerating disrespect and sabotage. Mom's actions were beyond reprehensible, disgusting, and more than deserving of being removed from the celebration of my beautiful wife and I committing our lives to each other. You are more than welcome to allow toxic people to destroy your happy moments. But this is not something I will tolerate for myself or my wife. Honestly, there is no version of the story that would excuse bringing his ex to their wedding. She can't even defend herself because she knows that that was BS, and so does everyone else. And what did mom expect? OP saying, "Oh, you're right, mom. Margot is my soulmate. I will get an annulment," and run off with Margot. Mom has some big irrational thinking or just wants to be right. June sounds like an amazing woman, boundaries and all. OP is not the a-hole. I'm surprised mom didn't try to interrupt the ceremony. If there was an "does anyone object" line, that's where mom could present her clone and state the whole true love thing. Not the a-hole OP, not at all. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my in-laws to see my daughter after they gave her medication? I know how the title sounds, but please bear with me. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I 24. Male and my wife 24 recently had our daughter in July. She is the best thing to ever happen to my wife and I, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have our little bundle of joy. She recently got sick while staying with her grandparents, my in-laws, while my wife and I took a trip for work. For context, my in laws are really big into LifeWave slash X39. It's some patch that supposedly helps regrow stem cells by reflecting light rays back into your body, allowing your body to produce more stem cells to fight off diseases and sickness. If you ask me, it sounds like snake oil, and my wife agrees, calling it a pyramid scheme. The only way to get said patches is by spending well over $1,000, and then you're tasked with selling the patches yourself. It's essentially some multi level marketing product where the more patches you sell, the more money you make, falling right in line with my wife's comparison to a pyramid scheme, but MLMs are somehow legal. Now, I've tried doing research on X39, and the only comments I've seen praise said product are brand new accounts never used before or after, or their entire profile is dedicated to shilling out for LifeWave slash X39. In my own research, they appear to just be overpriced stickers. They contain no medication, no special UV rays, or anything of the sort. They're literally just an overpriced sticker with an air bubble. But my wife and I have made it very clear that we wanted no part in X39, nor did we want our daughter to have it. Even if it's fake, we wanted no part in it. And on the off chance it did something, I didn't want our daughter to be used as their lab rat or guinea pig. Now, before we left our daughter with my in laws, we provided them with some infant medication just in case she got sick. Can never be too safe, you know. Well, we returned home from the work trip early because our daughter wasn't getting any better. So we picked her up and went home. We were going to give her a bath, and in the process of taking her jacket off, we found an X39 patch on her arm. Upon finding it, we immediately called her parents and demanded to know why she had a patch on her. Her parents tried saying that it's safe for the baby. We even ordered the ones for ages 7 and younger, and that it's practically medication. Their words, which still didn't answer our question. So my wife checked the go bag, and the Motrin we gave them was, while it was used, not used very much at all. Her parents tried claiming that someone else in their group or whatever gave it to their son and they got better in a week. Point is, we didn't buy it, nor did we care. We've made it abundantly clear that we wanted nothing to do with X39 and we didn't want our daughter to be a part of it. They failed to listen. My wife was on the phone with them for over an hour, and while I don't know the exact length the conversation went to, I know it at least ended with her screaming, "Going to see my freaking daughter again, and if you attempt to come to my house, we will call the police," before hanging up. That was 3 days ago now, and we've had several missed calls from family members, her parents, her siblings, and even family friends, all saying that we overreacted, and they were just trying to help. Maybe we overreacted, but we wanted nothing to do with that. And despite making it clear, they went against our wishes and did it anyway. And instead of giving my daughter actual medication, they try to give her some placebo patch. Her parents tried claiming that we're stopping them from seeing their only grandchild over something so small, but we didn't want to hear it. Am I the a-hole? Relevant comments. Linda Pandrick said, "I kind of think you're the a-hole for leaving your sick baby to go out of town." OP replied, "We didn't leave a sick baby to go out of town. We left her with her grandparents while she was fine. We only packed Motrin because, as I stated in my post, you can never be too careful. She got sick while we were out of town, not before." Mediocre Key 4992 said, "You say that like it's snake oil, like it's just as bad as the X39. Was it Advil and cough syrup, or just a generic bottle that you wrote infant medication on? You expect us to believe that you gave them medication just in case she got sick, and then she immediately got sick? Come on, this sounds like total BS." OP replied, "Her grandparents don't exactly have children medication laying around. We packed her Motrin, which I quite literally stated later in the post had you read it, not some generic bottle or snake oil, and just as bad. Nor do they have the ability to really go anywhere. They live a good 30 to 40 minutes outside of any nearby town. The drive to and from her parents is a grand whole hour drive from where we live. And my wife and I quite literally work with sick people all the time. No, I'm not a doctor, nor do we have medical expertise. So my wife and I contracting something is usually pretty high. So we pack Motrin or whatever the store brand is that we'll buy every time we left her with her grandparents for more than a day. Friendly Panda 4049 said, I did the same thing with my daughter. I always sent her to my parents' house with Motrin and or Tylenol just in case. And that was back in the 1990s, so I don't find that unusual either. Kids get sick fast sometimes. They will wake up great that morning and be extremely sick by night. Update 1. About a month ago, I made this post ranting about my in law's weird obsession with for lack of a better term, cult regarding stem cell regeneration through patches, which clearly isn't a real thing. There's been some development on that end, and while I'm confident things will likely end here, I wanted to give a quick update for those who may have been curious. I'm writing this on the toilet at work, so don't mind the rushing of it all. After my wife essentially cut ties with them and we all received a million phone calls and text messages from family and friends, things quieted down for about a week or two. We started having my sister watch our daughter instead when we had to work. We haven't had another out of trip town since the initial post, however. Through those couple of weeks, we never really heard anything beyond a couple of supposed shit talking posts on Facebook bitching about us, but I can't seem to find the posts. We thought things were probably and hopefully going to end there, but boy, were we wrong. And this is quite the jump from the last post. My wife and I were visited by CPS about 2 weeks ago or so after they received concerning calls about supposed child abuse and negligence within the household. Of course, nothing like that happened, and the caseworker was very quick to see that. We had asked who reported her, and while she couldn't say, we had a suspicion it was from her parents. We were completely helpful and cooperative with the caseworker. And after she left that night, my wife called her mom up and asked her if she's the one who called CPS. Surprisingly, her mother took full accountability, but not so surprisingly, tried to spin it in around in her favor, claiming that she did it for our own good because our daughter was sick and she wasn't getting any better when she was there so clearly we were doing something awful as parents. Kids get sick, it happens, but they're also extreme anti vaxxers. Not just COVID, I mean everything, from even something as trivial as the flu shot. Yet they're willing to shill out thousands of dollars for some supposed stem cell regeneration sticker. The freaking hypocrisy and irony in their BS is unmatched. My wife didn't really know how to react to that, so she basically told her mom to go freak herself, and she wants nothing to do with her again. I know I saw a few comments on the last post saying maybe we shouldn't have cut them out entirely, but now I'm starting to question why we didn't cut them out years ago, before our daughter was even a thought in our heads. About a week after the first audit, my mother in law showed up to our house on my day off while my wife was at work and essentially demanded to see our daughter, forcing her way into our home by pushing past my arm. When I told her to get the hell out of my house, she had no business marching in here like that. She essentially told me that I'm unfit to be a parent because I'm depriving my daughter of help she desperately needed because she's clearly a very sick child. My daughter is perfectly healthy right now, and in fact has had no stuffy nose and no high temperature, nothing. I told my mother in law straight up that she was batshit insane. I went off on her about how she lied to us, went against our wishes, had the audacity to call and lie to CPS, and then show up at our house unannounced, uninvited, and march herself inside, as well as everything about her X39/LifeWave BS. We argued there for a while before I finally got so fed up. I told her to leave my house before I called the police. She stormed out of the house and, in true Karen fashion, said, "This isn't over," before slamming my door. I immediately called my wife, who was, of course, irate. The following morning, we filed a restraining order at the courthouse from her mom and dad because they're clearly not in their right mindset. The caseworker had to audit us a few more times as per their guidelines over the past 2 weeks, and yesterday was her last day where she informed us that we're doing good and she's sorry for the trouble they caused. We kept her up to speed on the LifeWave shit, the showing up unannounced and the restraining order. And though she couldn't really take a side, she seemed apologetic. But my wife and I are pretty livid. We started looking at houses in another state to get as far away from my in laws as possible. Our company has offices out there. So it's entirely possible we could just be transferred. So we're crossing our fingers that all goes well. The restraining order gets filed soon enough, and we'll get a place clear across the country so that this will hopefully be my last update. Update 2. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being so supportive. I've read some of the comments, though not all, far too many, and I know some of you have asked for updates, and so I wanted to give everyone an update for those still interested. Things aren't going to be as juicy in this post as the last two, but some new things have happened, so I'll just jump right in. After my in laws called CPS on us for no discernible reasons other than we forbid them from seeing our daughter, things mostly quieted down. Some of you suggested that we should do more than just get a restraining order, so we bought some security cameras and had them installed all around our property. And our neighbors, who are pretty good friends of ours, was in the loop for the most part. And anytime we had to go somewhere, not only did we have video cameras recording every time someone entered our driveway, displayed directly on our phones, our neighbors kept us updated too. She stopped coming around for the first few months since she called CPS on us, but just the month before last, as we were preparing to move. My in laws somehow got word we planned on moving states and attempted to block our driveway as her dad tried blocking the front door. Not sure what their plan was there because we have a back door and an extra side door leading from the kitchen, but I digress. Her mom blocked the driveway, stopping our U-Haul or car from leaving the property and wouldn't budge, even after we told them we would call the police. They told us they'd move if we told them where we were moving to, but my wife told them that that wasn't happening and they had 10 minutes to leave or we'd be calling the police. My neighbor came over during the commotion, but my in laws still wouldn't budge. My daughter is crying during all of this as my wife is trying to console her, as my neighbor and I are attempting to remove my father in law from the doorway, but he wouldn't move. Eventually, my wife called the police, and I'm guessing another neighbor called them as well because they responded within mere minutes. My in laws kept screaming that we were taking their rightful grandchild away and that we'd all be damned to burn in hell for this. But honestly, that just made me laugh. The police kept asking them to leave, but they wouldn't. Eventually, they were arrested for refusing to leave, and the police were nice enough to call a tow truck for us to be able to back out of the driveway. Lo and behold, as the police were handcuffing my in laws, they both had on those X39 patches, and even the police questioned them about it. But whatever, what's done is done. We were able to finally leave and on to new adventures. We've been settled in at our new house for the better part of over a month, and we're enjoying it greatly. No word from my in laws, and they have no idea where we are. We have them blocked, but will eventually get messages from unknown numbers or Facebook accounts asking where we moved. But there's no way they're that foolish to believe we'll actually tell them. Luckily, neither my last state or this one have any grandparents' rights, so we're in the clear there. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, this is my last update. Relevant comments. Quicksand32 said, seriously, look into a P.O. box and have all mail routed there. OP replied, hey there. We actually did get our mail routed to a P.O. box. So Florida Sun said, why were they not arrested for violating a restraining order? OP replied, we informed the police they had a restraining order. I just don't think they cared. They were more concerned with getting them off our property as opposed to them violating the restraining order. I think one of their final charges after being arrested was violation of a restraining order, though. The police just didn't seem to care at the time, which is unfortunate, to say the least.